Guys, take a look at this beautiful, beautiful brisket. This is what you get when you slow mesquite smoke a brisket. Beautiful and juicy and tender inside. Look at the meat flowing with juices. It's gorgeous. So I'll tell you what, give this recipe a try and you're going to learn the nuances of fine smoking. Howdy folks, welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, we're going to be making the most magnificent tasting meat that you'll ever put in your mouth. I've been doing brisket videos in the past, but this time I wanted to do a smoked brisket and take it right up to the next level for you. We're going to get into how to make the very best brisket you can. If you're wanting to do a brisket for competition, this is the one that just may win it for you. There's a few tricks and tips of the trade that, well, most amateurs just don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip you off to all of it, to what works, what doesn't work, and why it works. And we're going to produce the finest brisket that can be produced. This is smoked brisket, Texas style. If you're looking to do it for a competition, you might want to watch this video. So come over this way and let's look at these magnificent goodies that we have to work with, and let's get busy making the very best tasting brisket that you're ever going to put in your mouth. Come on over, guys. All right, folks, now let's take a look. This is our brisket. That's what this is all about, this big old honking slab of beef. The other items I have here, I have some wood, and it's soaking in water. This is mesquite. I'm going to be doing a mesquite smoke because this is Texas barbecue, folks, and in Texas, we have mesquite trees from corner to corner in this state. Now back behind that, over here we have a chimney starter. And I want to talk to you about lighting this charcoal. This is so important when you're doing charcoal, guys. If you use a charcoal such as a matchlight charcoal or a charcoal that you use lighter fluid on, then your barbecue is going to have a petroleum flavor. One thing's for sure, there's nobody that has ever made barbecue for competition that won that competition after having started the barbecue with matchlight or with a lighter fluid. The charcoal itself that I'm using matches the flavor of this. I'm using a mesquite charcoal. So if you want, you can match your charcoal to what you're using, or you can mix them and get a good mixed flavor. Now, you saw this little tool sitting out here. This little guy is called a mop. Now a mop is very important because we use the mop to keep the rind of the meat, that outer layer of the meat, from forming up and getting too hard and dry. Because if that happens, then it doesn't get good smoke penetration. If that happens, it's not as good a quality of barbecue. So we want to keep the outer part of that as moist and delicate as possible, and it does produce a better smoked meat. And what I have here are 4 cups of chicken broth, and you can use beef broth for this also. It works great. I have here some vinegar. I'll be using 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of olive oil. Then we want something to flavor it, and I'm going to use some cayenne, black pepper, and salt. And that's 2 teaspoons of the cayenne, 1 tablespoon of black pepper, and a tablespoon of salt to this recipe. I'm going to boil it all up, and after boiling it, then we will mop it over our meat. And that'll be after the meat gets a good start. So there's no rush on doing that. Okay guys, now as I mentioned, we're going to be trimming this up. Now on this side, there's really not much fat, and there's really not much of anything for you to worry about here. For the most part, unless you've got a lot of silver skin on this, which rarely happens, then I would say just leave it alone. Okay, what we need to focus on are any thick globs of fat. This has an intermediate glob here and a ridiculous one over here, and that's what we need to work on. Now I have a little bit of meat up here that could be mildly effective because this runs up to about here underneath this. It's a thin little layer that comes up in there. And it's important that you leave a thick layer of fat in this meat. Guys, let me explain the importance of this fat. The fat is going to render through the meat. The tallow renders through the meat. And it produces a much, much better quality meat. See, here's the thing. Fat is acidic, all right? Just about an inch back from that thick point, you're going to have a thick band of fat that runs right here, okay? And that's the part you can thin just a little bit. It's not going to hurt a thing. So I'm going to take some of that fat out of there. Now up here, my meat is close. See that? So there's no sense in trimming any of this. Like I said, that's that one strip right there that you need to be concerned with. And it's done. That brisket is now ready to hit the fire, guys. It's got the right amount of fat. All right, guys, I'm going to put a little bit of salt on this. There we go, a nice layer of salt. I'm going to flip it over, do the same side, or same thing on this, which is now the top side. We're ready to get this out onto the pit. I just need to get the fire rolling on the pit. So let's take a look at that now. Well, folks, it is a nice warm Sunday morning here in Texas. Down in the bottom of my main section over here, and let me zoom in a little bit, there's a pan right down there. You see that? This is real important, guys. If you're going to be producing some of the best barbecue in the world, you got to do it the right way. This is one of those little tips, one of those little tricks. And that way, as you smoke, it will gently release moisture in the air and help to keep that brisket just a little moister. These are the little tips. These are the tricks that make it work right. Down here in our firebox, we're going to put our fire in there in just a moment. But first I have to get my chimney started up, and that's easy enough. I'm going to start it right on top of the grates here. Now guys, when it comes to truly good barbecue, this is all about controlling your flame and your heat. The secondary box on an offset smoker, that guy right down there, that's where the fire goes. That's where you put all of your flame. If you put it under the meat, your meat is going to burn before it has been properly smoked. This is about low and slow, guys. 200 to 225, exactly, dead on, no more or less. On the side here, you have a damper door. And this little guy is real important. Your damper door has a damper right there. And what this does is it allows air to flow in over your charcoal. Now, some smokers work best with this door actually slightly ajar. I've had better results doing it that way. Long tongs, okay? You're going to need some of these really long type of tongs because you're going to be reaching down in a firebox and it's going to be hot. You might also want some leather gloves also, guys. They're very helpful for this stuff. It is smart to wear leather gloves when pouring out your charcoal because it's easy to get burned. I've done this a lot of times and occasionally I still get burned. My charcoal on top is nice and white and we're about to drop it right down in here. So I'll tell you what, let's do that. Now all I can say is just pour it out quickly and get it out of the way. I'm going to be adding more right now. There we go. So what I'm doing, I'm getting all of that charcoal up close to my smoke box. Remember, this is my firebox right here and my smoke box up above over here. I want to get that heat and the smoke up in here. And don't forget, you have water in the bottom. Now, the reason I concentrate all of my charcoal in the center and close to the smoker, I want to be able to put my wood around the sides of it, up on the metal here, and allow the metal of the firebox to heat the wood I'm smoking with. So I've got charcoal for a fuel source, and I've got my wood that has been soaking in water, and that is going to be my primary smoke source. Yeah, the charcoal puts out some smoke, but the wood is what's going to really do the trick. Now guys, let's talk for just a moment about that chimney. You'll see these little lids on these chimneys. Okay, this is primarily to keep water out of your smoker when it's raining, so close that when you're not using it. When you're smoking, don't choke that down, okay? It's really hard on your fire and it's not too good for the meat. You want a smooth flow. And that smoke is a little too white. We're going to slow it down in a bit, but right now we're developing fire, remember? The important thing here is you have to have a good flow through event. You don't want your smoke to hang out in that smoke chamber too long. And of course it'll seep out around the edges of the smoke chamber. You want that temperature, especially when it comes to mesquite. Mesquite doesn't do well at high temperatures. It'll produce a high temperature easily, but it does not produce good barbecue when you're too high. Now, even though this little gauge here says barbecue grilling, barbecue doesn't necessarily get produced between 250 and 350. Okay, that you're cooking your meat at that temperature. Smoking meat, which is what we're doing, which creates barbecue, it needs to be between 200 and 225. I mean, just dead on in that bracket, especially for mesquite. What we have here, that brisket, if you'll notice, I put the thick side towards the heat source. And if it gets too warm up in this cabin, I'll move it over, and that'll be dictated by the amount of charring on the meat. And later in the cook, I probably will. Right now, I'm just interested in hitting it with lots of smoke, and that's what's going to happen. Now let's move over to that fire pit and get the smoke balanced the right way. Here we are at our fire pit. Our charcoal has been lighting up real nice up in there. I want to take these wood chunks. I'm not going to place them on the fire. I'm going to place them up on the metal on the sides of this. Now let's get a good close-up on exactly where I'm putting that wood, since it's really hard to see. And leave it that way. Okay, don't put it on that fire because it's going to flame up. You don't want that. You want a slow smoke release. The temperature will be dictated by how much air we allow through our damper. Choke it down if it gets too hot. Open it up if it's not hot enough. That's all there is to it. Oh, look at that. We're getting to the right temperature, and the smoke is getting to the right color. Yes. Slightly bluish and somewhat thinnish. Lovely. Now folks, if you will notice, typical Texas, what do you know, tailgate cooking. Yes, we actually do that. We cook on our tailgates. There we go. Now, I've got about a nice tablespoon down in there. I want to add in about a tablespoon of salt. I'm going to measure that into my hand first. There we go. Okay, 1 teaspoon of cayenne. 2 teaspoons of cayenne. Now, we'll put my chicken broth in here. I want 1 cup of vinegar to go with my cup of oil. There we are. 1 cup of vinegar with my oil. We'll put that right in there. Now, I'm just going to bring this up to a boil. Now, folks, doing a mop sauce is simple, and the purpose behind it is simple. The idea here is we simply want to break the outer layer of the meat that's starting to get dry and firm, and that way we can get that smoke to penetrate better, and it also helps with the moisture in the meat. It just kind of helps it to lock it in there and hold it. In a moment, I'm about to put it on my meat. We're going to start our first mop. And we are about 1 hour and 10 minutes in now. You don't want to start your mopping immediately when you smoke. You want to start it after you get a good smoke buildup in the meat to start with. Now guys, here we are. I've got my mop down here and my brisket. And if you'll notice, that brisket's looking a little different in its color. You're going to see a lot of red on it. The red doesn't mean it's not cooking. The red means the myoglobin is being preserved by the nitrites and nitrates that are being released in that wood smoke. When tannins in wood burn, they release nitrates, and the nitrates act like a preservative on one of those proteins in that meat, and that protein is called myoglobin. Let's take a look at that. See all that red on there? And it'll get more red as time goes on. And it's been going like that for 9 hours now, guys. 9. Get it? 9 hours. There we go. Let's turn it. Yes. It's still tender and lovely. Guys, I have now pulled this in off of the grill. It has been a long day of smoking for me. If it looks like the outside of this is somewhat burnt, don't worry about that appearance. That makes no difference to the flavor. It isn't burnt. There we go. Look at that beautiful rind, the red color. This has been going on all day long at 225 to 250 degrees. Before you say no to it, oh yeah, give this a try. You're gonna love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. This was an entire day of smoking, okay? It doesn't come quickly. It doesn't come easily, all right? Texas brisket is a very special thing. You see that red rind? The red rind is a sign of true brisket, true barbecue, true quality. That red rind means it was really smoked. You can't fake it, period. My red rind would have been deeper had the temperature of my smoker been lower when I started my smoking. It was too high. I made a mistake there. That would have knocked me out of a competition. Don't you forget it. That one simple mistake is all it takes, and boom, you're gone. All right, guys, so that's it right there. Beautiful brisket. That's all it takes, guys. It's very simple. Just spend an entire day smoking and kicking back with your friends. That's what makes for good brisket. So I'll tell you what, thank you for watching this episode of Texas Cooking Today. This has been a lot of fun. I had a lot of time outside and with my friends. Thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today. Thank you for watching this episode, and if you would, please subscribe if you haven't. Click the bell. I'll let you know when new episodes come out. If you haven't done so, please share this video and like. I love it. I will do my best to answer you if you write in. It's not a problem. You folks have a good day. Goodbye.